Right, let's go.
Right, hello and welcome everybody to episode 29 of the Just Discourse Podcast with your host Monotone Max and the man with a lovely name, Matt Delaharpe.
What up, my man? You good?
I'm good, mate. We're back. Again, we've been extremely busy recently, haven't we? So we're struggling to get time to have sits down together and get these done. But it's good. It's good that we're busy. Good that we're
Very good, we're busy. And we've got a slightly different setup this time that everyone can see, which is one of the main reasons why you should like and subscribe to all of these.
exactly.
We've actually got proper armchairs now, so we're actual like business people,
Yes.
as opposed to just fuckers
Yeah.
sort of slouching back on armchairs.
Yeah. Rather than sat here with terrible posture, killing ourselves.
Well, it's nice because it's like we have a board meeting, so what everyone else can't see is that behind the camera we've got seating for the actual audience, or people who are waiting their turn, if you will.
Yes.
So they're all the way over there. So yeah, no, pipe down. Hey.
Yeah. Keep it down over there.
Stop it.
One day, Matt. One day.
Yeah, we'll get there. But
When we actually ask people.
But again, it's we had guests from episode 2 onwards.
We
So
did, yeah. And we're terrible at speaking to people and asking them to come on. We just like listening to each other.
we just like staring at each other. I don't think we're terrible. I think that, you know, it's hard enough for both of us at the moment to be finding the time to put together that you then add in a third or even a fourth party to it. It's just going to become even more convoluted.
Yeah. But we will get some more people on.
Oh, for sure.
Speaking to Will, he wants to come back on.
Yeah, same with the other boys. They want to do it as well.
Good. Right. Today, we want to talk about principles and powerful quotes. So again, I know I rely heavily, I wouldn't say rely, but I use principles in everything I do in day-to-day life in order to ensure I'm living my life to the best way possible and as making sure I'm doing what I should be doing, being a better person, being a better human, looking after the people around me. And then with quotes are a bit like, how would you describe quotes? I read the quotes and they invoke that emotional reaction.
So the emotional reaction also makes you stop and think. Like there's an overabundance of them at the minute, where people are trying to gain, recognition by being like, only the strongest survive. And it's got a picture of a tiger or something by some lame platitude. So there is a certain level of them where certain quotes are overdone, and as a result they've kind of lost their impact. Whereas ones you've got are a little bit more obscure, there's still some message in them. They all have a message to impart, but some of them are actually like taken in now if there's something that hasn't actually been said before, which in the information age is becoming rarer and rarer. So it's probably a case of you don't just see and repeat the first one you see. You let a couple of them come in, and then they'll either merge together, or you'll be like, okay, it's the most recent one that is actually worth listening to. And
then you work them out in your mind, don't you? Because it's certain quotes or certain phrases that people use, they've obviously heard or been told this, and I don't know if they really think about them enough to actually comprehend what they mean and how they force you to act. The first one that comes to mind is, I've spoken to people before, and they work for a company or a business or something like that, and they say, I just feel like I'm a part in a machine, and they're looking at that as like a negative thing, and I sort of sit there a bit confused because I'm like, well, yes, the business is a machine, it's a money making machine, that's why anybody is there. Like a car or any other type of machine, you don't have any parts that aren't required, otherwise what's the point in having them?
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? In a business you have, everybody is required in their role, otherwise the business will just cut them and take the profits. If you're in a business, you're there because you need to be there. So I find that it flip it around in the motivational way. It's like, brilliant, I'm part of this machine here. Without me, it can't operate in the way it should be. So the better I perform and the better I motivate myself to use my part to better myself and the company, the better everybody else around me does.
See, it's interesting. There's two things here. I think there's the one part of it is that the people who say, "Oh, I'm just a number. I'm just a faceless mass in a machine." They're the ones who probably are on the front lines. So, say if they're in retail or hospitality, sales, they're the ones who are physically churning the money out, right on the front line from there, and they may feel that, oh, all I'm doing is I'm just one of the 10 other people here who are making the middle or upper management the money to build from there. So those exact people will feel like that because they're like, oh, I'm doing all this work and I'm not getting paid what they're getting paid, which we'll come on to why there's a disparity in a minute. But then those are the people who are exactly as you're saying, where they are not a cog in the machine. Those are the ones who physically make the money from the ground up. If they're not there, the business doesn't make money.
Yeah.
For all the other myriad reasons, whether it's ingredients for hospitality, whether it's stock for retail, whatever. But the ones who actually could be classed as just a cog and an unimportant part of the machine are the ones in middle management or in a vague job who are never going to say that phrase because they would be in a giant corporation that has nothing to do with sales, has nothing to do with retail or hospitality. They're going to be a tertiary system, so they'll be all service based, and they'll have somehow, through nepotism or whatever, they'll be in a position pays them like 50 grand a year. Yeah. They don't actually do anything. But equally, they're never going to say, oh, I'm just a cog in the machine, it doesn't actually matter, even though they don't actually matter because it's in a job that doesn't do anything. But because they're getting paid a good amount of money for it, they're just going to sit there.
Yeah, again, I've personally never worked in large corporations, so I can't comment on that side of things. I know I've only ever worked with and within smaller business enterprises that, from my experience, they only have the people there that need to be there. Now, again, you're going to have people in every role that maybe isn't performing to the best of their ability. However, as a manager, really, I said it to you briefly before for the podcast is, as a manager, if you've got loads of stuff to be doing, you aren't managing your people correctly. Now, at first, especially when you start, you need to ensure that you've got good processes and systems in place to ensure things don't go wrong. But then the day-to-day, once you've got those set up, is just you managing and ensuring those systems are being fulfilled in the way they should be, and then constantly building and improving them.
Yeah, I'm thinking some of my experience from there.
I think you're right. There are people that maybe are managers and they've fallen into the role because they've been there for a while. We worked at a business before where people were elevated to manager fairly quickly because the staff turnover was so high. So a lot of the time they'd push you into management just because you're the one that had been there for over 18 months and everybody else has left. So they needed someone who knew the business more than everybody else. But if you don't really comprehend what management actually entails and you aren't taught or trained that correctly, you are going to think, or we have seen people before where they tend to just lord over people and don't really see the value of their position or the value of who they are to their the people beneath them in the hierarchy.
I would agree. I would say from my perspective is that a good manager, you shouldn't be aware that they're doing stuff, because all of their management procedures should not be visible to everyone at the same time. So it'll be everything. It'll be all the behind the scenes work to make sure everything's here. So, stock check, health and safety audit, shift patterns, payment, all that sort of stuff. So that stuff is all the behind the scenes thing that shouldn't be seen by everyone else. So if someone's good about it, you're not going to realise that they're doing work. In regards to not being so busy, I guess it would depend what it is. You're absolutely right in so far as they shouldn't be as busy as everyone else in doing the same things, because a good manager should learn to delegate.
Yes.
So that should be a case of, if you're making a list at the beginning of the day and you're like, right, these are things I got to do. The important thing would be recognizing, okay, these are not all for me to do. What I should do is see if there's anything from here that I can pass on to someone else that isn't above their job description. Yeah. And then, yeah, absolutely. Then you're like, oh, cool, sweet, I've cut my list in half. Brilliant, great. So then, yeah, absolutely, that frees up, half of the day that you otherwise would have spent doing stuff that you didn't actually need to do because you could have got someone else to do it.
And the golden rule I've found is it's different if you're not in sales or looking to be in sales. But as a business owner, you are always in sales. So as soon as you get to a position where you are losing more money, let me rephrase that. As soon as you get to a position where you can pay someone to do a job and you know you will earn more money in the same amount of time it will take them to do the job that you're paying them for than you will if you did the job themselves. Delegate it away.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, if you spent an hour doing that, you're paying them whatever figure it is, £10, £20, £30 an hour.
Yep.
But I can go and earn £100 in that hour. Delegate it away.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you can't, especially when you start the business,
Mm-hmm.
like most people, is they have to do everything themselves because they can't afford to do it. But
Cool.
as soon as you get to that level, that's the only way to continue to build and grow at the level that you need to be, or to achieve the goals that you're looking to hit.
So then it'd be a case of recognizing when that is.
Yeah.
It's like the question I keep asking myself about just everything that I'm doing is there's something that you, myself, and other Max spoke about when we were out drinking the other month. And I asked both of you. I said, you know, I'm worrying that I'm doing too much, and you know, I'm overwhelmed. And I think you said to me, you just said, "Are you overwhelmed?" And I went, "No." And you went, "Okay, there you are then. That's fine."
Exactly, yeah.
But I think it's a case of making sure that you're recognising that, be like, oh, "Okay, I can take on more," before it starts being detrimental. So in which case, take on more, and then when it gets to that point, being like, right, something's got to give. That's when you cut back on something else. Not necessarily eliminate it, but just cut back on it.
And you know, I can only say from my experience, and I can't tell you whether this is the right thing or a good thing to do. I can only tell you this is what I have done. Is, you know, I'll continue to take on work and build and grow. And it's a bit like the David Goggins 40% rule. You know, he says when your brain tells you that you've had enough and you can't go any further, you're only 40% of the way there. You got another 60% to go, so keep pushing. And then you tend to do another 20, 40%, and you get to 80%, and your brain again will say, look, fucking hell, this is too much. Maybe I haven't got this. And that's when you start seriously thinking about what the next steps would be to either delegate or bring someone in to help with you, but then push forward again. And then when you really get to that point, because you've already vaguely got a plan in place of getting some help or changing this process or doing it this way, once you get to that 100%, you know, right, fuck, this is the absolute max I can do. And then you take action to move into the next one. Bring those people in. But yeah, so from my point of view, I've always just taken on far more than I believe I can, and 90 to 95% of the time, as I'm going through the process, you know, you get, say, halfway, 75% of the way, and you think, fucking hell, this is hard. Why did I decide to do this? Like, this is such a stupid thing to do. And then you get to the 100%, you get all the way through, and you think, oh, that wasn't as bad as I first thought it was. And the benefit / negative part of that is you think, oh, fuck it, I'll just do it again, but bigger. And then you go into the next one. And it's great fun. You know, the start of it is great. The middle bit is a bit shit. But as long as you're enjoying what you're doing and you can see that you're building and growing, then that's the motivation to push you through. And that's why, again, I say you've got to have high goals and high expectations for what you want in life. Because if you haven't really got any goals, what's going to motivate you to continue pushing through when the times get hard? Whereas if there's specific outlined things that you want and you know exactly how much you need to earn, or the steps you need to take in order to get to the house you want, the car you want, the holidays you want, the freedom you want, whatever it is, whatever your goals are, that's what will keep pushing you forward. And then once you get to the end, I've said it a number of times on the podcast, but I say it all the time until I'm fucking blue in the face, is I set a goal for myself and then I say, right, once I get to that point, I'm going to, you know, chill a little bit, or, you know, enjoy it a bit, and blah, blah, blah. And you get to the end and you think, oh, well, it's a delayed gratification thing. You think, well, I could do this now, or I could give it another year and be so much further ahead. And until you're desperate for the money, it's not really worth taking it out.
So that's an interesting thing, because you're using you're using delayed gratification from that perspective, but also you're being actually kind of tactical, because you're going, okay, so if I do this, it's that trope of, you know, what's better? What would you rather have, $1 million now or $1 million? Was it $1 million specifically now, or something that's going to accrue over time? Yeah. And most people go, I'll go for that $1 million right now,
or 1 penny every day that flips.
Yeah,
for 30 days.
Yeah, a compound interest. Yeah, exactly. But so that's the difference. There's also a thing of, you were saying something, and I had something coming into my head from there. My brain will come back. Yeah, that's gone.
So I'm going to get the double up. So, yes, it says, so would you rather have 1 penny a day that doubles every day for 30 days or £1 million now? Now, most people don't really think about it and they go for the £1 million now.
Mm-hmm.
But if you went for the 31 days, it'd be 10.7 million.
Because it would have compounded, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I think about it, is especially if I don't need the money or I'm just going to spend it on stupid things that you don't require, then what's the point? And I was speaking to, I think it was one of the guys that worked for me the other day actually, and I was reading about how they say that millionaires buy the cars and the houses and all the luxury watches and stuff like that because it's like a flex to say, look, it's mainly, you know, people that have made the money themselves, because it's like a pat on the back. It's like, well done, look, I've done this, I've built this. But then the billionaires, their flex is not buying things because they're like, well, who cares? I've got so much wealth, I don't need to buy anything. What's the point? And I thought that's quite a good flex. And then the conversation we moved on to is, well, why do you think that they don't buy things? They don't need that gratification from actually achieving goals. And we sort of went down the line of, well, once you've got money or more money than you can ever spend, not it becomes worthless, but the enjoyment, it gets removed from when you buy things. So I don't know if anybody, how we moved on to it was, say GTA 5, you know, you can do the stock market thing, so you can flip it up to, you earn like billions and billions of pounds. And I found every time I got to that level, it was great for about 10 minutes, half an hour, because you go around and buy everything, you thought, that's brilliant. But after a while, it just gets really boring because there's no real challenge. And then, of course, we moved on to, you know, people like Elon Musk and Steve Jobs and, you know, all of these people with huge wealth, but they keep pushing forward. It's because, or I don't know this, but my thoughts were, we are creators at the end of the day, aren't we? At base level, humans are creators. And they get their joy from creating things and moving on and building something that's a lot harder than it is to enjoy and spend their wealth.
It's the exact same thing we were saying with GTA, same thing with what was it, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. So once you get further on to the game, you're set in Rome and you have the ability to like renovate buildings, and one of the buildings you can renovate is banks. So if you renovate the bank, they'll say, oh, as a reward to this, everything that you renovate moving forward will get added to your monthly stipend that you can withdraw. So it will cost you X amount to renovate new shops. So when you're starting off in the game, it's really expensive because you haven't got a lot, because you just started off. And so it's really slow accrual of money coming through. So the currency then was florins back in the 1500s. Yeah. So then over time. So but by the time you've almost unlocked everything, when you previously you would have been having like 1,000 florin coming in, you're having like 40,000, 50,000 coming in, and at that point you're like, oh my god, I can just buy all this stuff. Or even with Assassin's Creed, you can just.
So what game's that? Assassin's Creed?
Brotherhood.
Because you fantastic game for me to play.
Outstanding.
I don't really play games, but things like that.
It's outstanding. But it's equally a point with Assassin's Creed. You can just, because you can climb up buildings, you can just find a spot on top of a building, put your controller down, and just go for a walk, and then come back. And because time passes so much quicker in the game, by the time you come back, you've been paid like 3 times. Oh,
jokes.
Yeah. And so you're like, oh great, I've got like 400 grand now, which in that scale is like rivaling the Borgias for sort of like money.
Yeah.
And so you just own the whole map. But it's the exact same thing, because the game's set up in that way that there's a finite amount of resources to get in regards to physical property, clothing, weapons, whatever. But the money doesn't stop. It just keeps coming and coming and coming. You can't do anything with it past a certain point. And so you're there just like, I'd rather start all over again. And that's so interesting that you have that aspect to it there, of the human condition, that you're like, you get past a certain point and it's like you don't even notice the money coming in because you're just like, it doesn't make a difference.
And I assume in games, I assume in real life it's different to the games, whereas in games you can't start a business, you can't do this, you can't do that, blah blah blah. Whereas
there probably is now. I haven't played a new game in ages.
There is a game, you can, but I assume that's probably where people get, you know, the people with extreme amounts of money think, okay, well I'm going to start a business because I can pay my employees well, I can create something fantastic for humanity and everybody else around me. What else am I going to do with my money? Waste it on just buying fucking watches and holidays and all those types of stuff.
Which is why you have all of these millionaires and upwards who will have many, 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 many businesses. Because what else are we going to do?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you can help, as we said before, it's great having money and spending it on yourself, but it's much better spending it on the people around you and developing and helping them grow their lives, because it also, in a way, helps you live in a better community yourself. So it's better for you, it's better for them, it's better all around.
Well, this is what I was. It's been so long since I've seen you. I haven't been able to tell you this, but I've taken because you've said this to me so many times, it's kind of drummed into my head, and I've taken the principle of that, and I've spoken to a few people, and I've said, look, if you guys give me X amount in the venture that I'm in at the minute, because I've worked out something that will grow at 20% roughly each time. If you give me that money, you're really helping my business, but also I can put X amount that I'm getting under your name, and I'll grow your money for you.
Yeah.
And I've done that for 3 people now, and so I can literally see how they're growing from there. Now, if anyone's like an actual investor might have looked at it, they'd be like, "You're an idiot," because I'm probably being too generous. But I can see I've got these 3 different money piles that are growing for other people, and I'm like, this is awesome, because I can just pay them out whenever, or I can just say, look, whenever I get the money back and it's grown, I'll be like, look, this is the amount now, do you want it, or should I reinvest? And then each time they're like, yeah, just keep it going, mate.
But that's how it's got to start. It's got to start with you giving out more than you're getting, because you're providing value for that investor. Then once you get to a point where it's like the desirability effect. Once you get to the point where you've got hundreds and hundreds and maybe thousands of people that you're doing that for, you can reduce it slightly, which means you'll be netting a bit more.
Yeah.
They'll still be getting it. You've got a track record of thousands of people that you've helped gain money, so that's where your reputation comes from. So people are going to trust you more to do it. Yeah,
because I'm trying to think and with the nature of this, it's all dependent upon how much they put in, and also just what happens. It goes ups and down. But some of them one of them I've doubled, and then another one I've increased by like 4 times what they initially gave in.
That's fantastic, isn't it?
Which equally, I didn't even see that happening. But I was just like, amazing, awesome, and they just said, yeah, keep it going, mate. So
that's what you got to do. Just keep going.
Yeah,
keep flipping it, like. And when I first went into business, I said before, I had goals that I wanted to achieve, and I was like, once I get to those levels, I'm gonna spend the money, do this, whatever, blah blah blah. And you get to 11, you think, I spent a bit of money that I've earned through the business, but it never gave me any satisfaction, or like it did for a day or a week.
Yep.
And afterwards, that was gone. Like even like silly little things, like I bought a desk and a sofa, which are only like little things, but at the time, I had no money, and I thought, right, it would be great if I had those. How fantastic would it be if I had that set up in my room, or in my house, or whatever like that. And then 6 months down the line, they're just a sofa and a desk that I've got in my room. They're not, they're still great to have, and they're great to use, and I'm glad that I have them, but it doesn't give you as much satisfaction or prolonged satisfaction that you thought you might get from it.
The most enjoyable money I've spent, not directly invested into the business, has been on acquiring things that will help me be better at the business.
Yeah, 100%.
Most enjoyable. It's great.
100%. That's like my motor. I had a fairly nice car before, but people would ask me about it, and I'd go, yes, it's all right, but it's just a car now. Like, it doesn't do anything. But because of the car I have now, I can use it for work. It's like the best thing I've ever had.
Yep.
I get to use it every day. It gets to come with me on jobs and do all that, and it's helped me out of so many situations that's where the value comes from. It's nothing to do with the money. It's to do with what the product can actually do for me and my business.
Yeah, completely.
That's where the excitement and enjoyment comes from.
Mate, I want a Mitsubishi Warrior, because I can get all of the band's kit in that.
Yeah.
Oh, I want one of them so bad.
Pickup trucks are the way forward.
Yeah.
I think got to be done.
Yeah. Whether it's got the cab at the back or just the bed, either way.
Yeah.
God damn, I want one of those. Or actually, I've seen the new transporters are naughty.
Yeah,
they are lovely.
Right, brilliant. So, Matt, I bought you a present.
Oh yeah.
To celebrate.
Yeah. Oh.
We've got some.
Oh, naughty.
Beautiful cigars here for you, my friend.
Oh, very nice. Look at that.
We've lost the little tip from it.
What'd you call me?
The little tip. That's what we call Matt.
Just among friends, okay?
Just for you.
Oh, mate, look at that. Oh, Habana. Very nice.
They're very nice.
Oh, yes. That's naughty. Oh, god damn, that's very good. Whew.
So, get to enjoy these.
Lovely.
The fruits of our labour.
We don't need to cut the end of that one, do we?
No, it's already done.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Look at that.
But the main thing, you know, when you're going through the journey of business and enjoying yourself, going through business is to make sure you're building something, but also to enjoy yourself. Because, you know, if you go and get hit by a car tomorrow, do you really want to be at the pearly gates and be thinking, I wasted my life?
Indeed. Well, yeah. And this is, you know, you can't take that money with you.
Exactly. You want to know that if you were to die tomorrow, you've left the world in a better place than where you were. It's a shame for you not to be in there, but if you aren't, you can make it a better place to live for everybody, then why not?
That's such an awesome overriding, like, guiding principle, because you've got Elon Musk's rise. He attributes to he passed every decision through one filter,
Which was himself.
Does he get us closer to Mars? Jeff Bezos, every decision he made, he put through the question, does it improve the customer experience?
Do you think that's a lot to do with why Elon Musk pushes Tesla so hard? Because he wants to maybe utilise that technology for space travel.
Whether or not it's for space travel directly, I don't know. I mean, Tesla's fascinating because they don't advertise. That's entirely through word of mouth. For him, again, he's going back to what we were saying about when they get to a certain level, they just make more companies. He's got more companies than he has fingers.
Yeah.
So he's the boring company which bores holes in the ground and equally makes hats.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Sells not flamethrowers.
Yep. He's got which is just a brilliant way to fundraise. Absolutely outstanding. Tesla, SpaceX, was one of the founders of PayPal. Probably still has quite a big share in it.
Yeah. It was Zip, wasn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, I wonder, because it could just be that's just a really good slogan. It's like, oh, we want to get to Mars, and he may not actually give a shit about Mars, but it's just a really good statement because it could be metaphorical. It could be like, instead of I want to reach the stars, it's like, no, I want to reach to Mars. It's still a fucking long way to go, but I'm more likely to be able to get to Mars than I am to a star.
Well, exactly, yeah. And you can't get to a star because you just burn to death.
S Club lied to us.
S Club.
Was that S Club? Reach for the stars.
I don't know.
Was that Steps? Reach for the stars.
I can imagine it was one of those.
It's S Club 7, yeah.
But that's why, yeah, the two things I'd say for me are extremely important is the principles, which I see as rules to live by, like stoic principles to live by, to make sure you're on track and pushing yourself forward. And then the quotes are just like the motivation. Like when your head gets down, which is always going to happen. You know, sometimes your head gets down, your life's difficult, throw some difficult shit at you. You get in there, read a few quotes, and it helps push you forward.
Okay, well then, if we're going to have, before we go on to quote itself, let's give something that's difficult that you can help me with, or maybe everyone else can help me with. Middle of November, I placed an order through an independent retailer. Didn't hear anything for a week, so I just followed it up.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, I'm waiting on stock. And I was like, okay. Because in my experience, previously, everyone's pretty good at sending the stock on time so that I can then let my buyers know I have it available. So for a week, there was nothing going on. So I was like, okay. So I had to scramble to find it from alternative sources. Found it. At a loss, but sorted out. Buyers were all happy. That's the important thing. Fine. So then I was going back to the dude. I went, "Hey, buddy, I no longer need the products. Can I get my money back? So I don't need them anymore." He went, "Yeah, that's fine. Just give me details so I can find the order." I went, "Yeah, that's cool. Lovely stuff." And that was 2 weeks ago. Nothing ever since.
Still nothing.
Email that I have for him is unregistered. Mobile number, doesn't answer. Text, doesn't respond. Landline, doesn't answer, or someone else always answers the phone and says he's not there. So I'm like, fascinating. But I do not understand it, because it's the complete lack of communication and just awful service skills that he has for someone who's in a similar business to me. Because if he said, "Yep, that's fine, buddy," if I said when I want on the refund, he was like, "Yep, no problem at all. Just so you know, that money has been invested. I've spent it, and I'm waiting on stuff for now. So I won't be able to get it to you for like 2 weeks, but this is when it'll have it. We'll get that back in that time frame. Are you happy to wait?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine." But I'll be like, "That is fine. I don't care about waiting. If you give me a date, I'll wait. It's fine."
Yeah. It's just the information you want.
It's just the complete lack of communication that is just absurd. But it's also the fact that it's not particularly clever, because I know where he works. I have his address.
Yeah.
I know where he is. I was like, this is a very silly thing to do, because it's a very strange, just very odd behaviour. It's like, I know where you are. I don't understand. I know where your place of work is. I know where you work from. I don't understand why you're not communicating with the customer.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of things there, and that it could be is, do you have to, this is what I always think of. Well, I don't always think about it at the start, but you have to bring yourself around to it. Is, at the end of the day, we are all human. We all do live lives outside of whatever we're doing. So you never know. You've got to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Could be a death in the family. Could be something like this. It could have been hit by a car. Blah,
Could be.
blah, blah, blah.
Could be.
All those things. So that could be where the lack of communication is. However,
100%.
as a business owner, if that were to happen, I would ensure that there are things in place, and I have got things in place, in order to ensure that the customers still know what's going on and still the business is running and moving smoothly.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, as much as the customers might like you and have a lot of respect for you, they're still trying to run their business. So after a while, probably quite a shorter period of time than you may like, they're just going to move on and find someone else. And if they find someone else who's better than you, you've lost them forever.
Yep.
That's you done.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's not very professional, and
No.
he should be coming back to you. However, again, there are a lot of people that don't think like that. They don't really think properly. As you say, you know where he lives, or you know where his workplace is.
Yeah, I don't know where he lives.
It's not that intelligent, but I've had it before where on the flip side,
Nose.
gone up the nose.
Yep.
I've had it before on people on the flip side where they owe me money and they ignore me, or they don't come back to me or whatever. Blah 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 blah. And I had it one time where obviously I've got the guy's business address and he ignored me for like 4 or 5 months. So I was like, well, fuck this. I'm going to his business address. Now he wasn't there. Nobody was there. But it was like a business park estate. So I just physically put the invoice through his door. Bear in mind, he'd been ignoring all my calls, ignoring all my texts, ignoring all my emails. The next day he paid. Because he knew I'd been down there.
Well, this is what I'm probably going to do later on in the week, is just go there.
And the secret of those things is not get shitty or pissy, because I've had it with people,
Precisely.
with people before, so they get all emotional and pissed off. And it's like, well, you're giving the person who's already not paying you more ammo to not pay you.
Precisely, yeah. Yeah, because every time I've done it, I've just been friendly, open, polite.
Don't get me wrong, it's fucking frustrating. And it's
I was really
annoying
frustrated.
when you spent money and you've got things going on and people are ignoring you and not coming back to you. However, you don't want to, one, give them the satisfaction knowing that you're pissed off, and two, because there are people out there that actually thrive on that, knowing that they're taking a piss. So you don't want to give them that satisfaction. And two, if you don't appear to be that pissed off, but you're just going through the process, a bit like what I did with this customer. I just went down there. He knew I was there. He knew I knew where he was. Means I could then turn up any other time while he was there. He's probably thinking, shit, I probably should just pay him, because a lot of people won't even bother going down there.
Yeah, no, exactly. And
if one time I went down there and he was there, and I decided, and his door was open or something like that, I could just take his stock. Just take whatever he's got there.
yeah,
And what's he going to do? Go to the courts and say, oh, this guy's stolen off me? And I go, yeah, well, you stole off me.
the courts will kick you both out and say, fuck off.
Exactly,
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. The money at this point is irrelevant, because I've made it twice over since. But it's the principle. And it's the Mark Manson.
It's the guiding principles, which is why you should always be strong in your convictions and how you do things.
Well, it's the Mark Manson of not giving a fuck. It's like, I don't give a fuck enough.
Is that the subtle art of not giving a fuck?
Yeah. He's like, I don't give a fuck enough that it's not going to bother me to fight for this. Which is just an awesome way of reframing that. It's like, I don't give a shit about you enough that I don't care how long it takes. I'm going to get back what's mine.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And you do have to do that. So otherwise you will get people that, that person will speak to someone else and go, oh yeah, well, I fucking went there, he didn't pay me, so...
He's easy. Yeah,
he's easy, you may as well give him a go as well.
Yeah. And there's
both ways.
Yeah, and it probably will come to a place where I physically got to go there. But as you say, I'll probably be... There are many solutions to this. All which will be fine, and then we'll be amicable.
So the one thing I've learned is, are you a registered business yet?
Mm-hmm.
Is he a registered business?
Haven't checked.
So all you have to do is send the invoice 3 months running. Oh, it's different for you, isn't it? Because he needs to give you the money back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what I'm talking about is slightly different. If someone owes you money, and they've agreed to give them back, you need to do everything in writing. That's one thing I've learned. Everything by email. It's all in writing, is it?
Yep.
Perfect. So what you do is then just, I think for you could probably just reissue an invoice to him. As long as you send it 3 months in a row, and you can prove it's to the right email and they've got them, you could just take him to a small claims court.
Yep.
And they will side with you because they owe you money.
Yeah.
And once you send them the court summons, almost 9 times out of 10 they'll pay you, because it's going to cost them a lot more to try and fight this case.
Way more.
Than it will just to pay the invoice.
Mm-hmm.
So I've done that a few times and that just works really well.
I like it.
It's different to other laws, whereas it's clear cut. If you've done the job and you've got everything in writing, they always side with the person who's owed the money, because obviously they want you to get the money so you can pay your taxes.
Yeah.
And keep them paid. Right, yeah, so that's it for part 1. Please join us in 2 days' time.
For part 2.
For part 2.
Thanks, guys.
Take care, guys.